Okay, now let's consider another way of showing an argument or inference to be invalid. And what we need is an invalid argument to consider. So let's consider this one. All racists support restrictions on voting rights. Rand Paul supports restriction on voting rights. Therefore, Rand Paul is a racist. And if you think about it carefully, I think you're going to intuitively think that the conclusion doesn't follow from the premises, but maybe it's not so clear to you in the case of this argument. So wait, the question is, does the conclusion follow from the premises? Is this valid? And if you think about it, if we're going to try to come up with a situation, we're going to describe a situation in which the premises are true and the conclusion's false, it's going to be a pretty complicated situation, and we might get confused. But there is another way of showing that this kind of inference is, or that this inference in particular is bad. It's by showing that all inferences of this kind are bad, and we call this a parallel inference. That is, we have to create an inference or an argument that has the same pattern, that's the same, logically, the same form, that has true premises and a false conclusion. So we want something that the logic resembles the logic, exactly the logic in this argument. But it's clear that this argument that we're making, this parallel argument, has true premises and a false conclusion. And let me help you out with an example. Consider the following one. All men are human. Hillary Clinton is a human. Therefore, Hillary Clinton is a man. Now, the premises of this argument are clearly true, right? All men are human. Hillary Clinton is a human, but Hillary Clinton is not a man. She's a woman, right? So here's an argument with true premises and a false conclusion, so we know this one can't be valid. Now the question is this a parallel argument or parallel inference? And notice that the logic, I think, resembles, and I think it's going to be clear to you if you look carefully, it resembles the logic of our initial argument, because our initial argument was all racists do something, what they support restriction on human rights. All men have a certain characteristics, they're human. Second premise is there's a particular person, Rand Paul, senator from Tennessee, who supports restrictions on voting rights. I think he does, he might not. It's not important, but we're saying there's an individual who is a member of the first class We're saying there's an individual who has the characteristic that we're talking about. Second argument, Hillary Clinton is a human. Hillary Clinton has that characteristic. And now the conclusion is Rand Paul, that individual, is a member of the first group, that is, all racists, and the conclusion here is Hillary Clinton is a member of that first group, the group of all men. So it really looks like the argument, the logic of the argument, the inference that's being made is similar, and the first one is only good if the second one is good, and we know the logic in the second one is not good. So this is another way in which we can show that there's a defect in the logic, that the argument is not valid.